Fighting for freedom, liberty, and the restoration of the Constitution. The Patrick Riggins Show. Call in now at 865-243-8255. That's 243-TALK. And now your host, Patrick Riggins.
Welcome back for the second great half of the Patrick Riggins Show. We are the show you've always dreamed of. Now it has become a reality. Thanks to the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network. We are providing the guiding light through the hurricane of misinformation that abounds out on the open sea of the television media and the radio dial, even on the internet, probably most especially the internet. We are the lighthouse by which you can consistently navigate because, like a good beacon, we are grounded in solid rock principles, those being freedom and liberty, and along the way, sailing towards the restoration of the Constitution. This week, Chuck Hagel had a little minor uproar during his confirmation hearings as the Secretary of Defense. Senator Ted Cruz from Texas, he's a Republican, in these hearings played a taped interview from Al Jazeera in which Hagel was interviewed and took questions from the audience via email. Now, here is a clip of that.
We've got an email from Wendy Day. She writes to us from Georgia here in the United States, and she writes, "Can the rest of the world be persuaded to give up their arsenal when the image of the United States is that of the world's bully? Don't we indeed need to change the perception and the reality before asking folks to lay down their arms, nuclear or otherwise?"
So, and that was the Al Jazeera clip. So Chuck Hagel was asked if he, in essence, agreed that America needed to revamp its image of being a bully. Now, he answered with this. This is from the Al Jazeera interview.
Well, her observation is a good one, and it's relevant. Yes, to her question. And again, I think that's all part of leadership.
So, Senator Ted Cruz, he's, like I said, the Republican from Texas, and he played that clip, those clips, actually played the whole thing in the confirmation hearings and had this to say about it.
Senator Hagel, do you think it's appropriate for the chief civilian leader of the U.S. military forces to agree with the statement that both the perception, quote, and the reality is that the United States is, quote, the world's bully?
So obviously, Senator Cruz doesn't think the United States is the world's bully. Either that or he's trying to grandstand and play gotcha politics with Chuck Hagel, something the Republicans accuse the media of doing with them all the time. But back to the testimony. Hagel erroneously began backpedaling and trying to explain away what he had said when he should have stood on his statement and given examples of what he was talking about. Now, sensing weakness, Senator Cruz, he finished up his part of the time with this. This clip is out of order with the next one, but I thought this clip was better to, in the rotation, be better to play first. This is what he wrapped up with, though.
And to go on Al Jazeera, a foreign network, broadcasting propaganda to nations that are hostile to us, and to explicitly agree with the characterization of the United States as the world's bully, I would suggest is not the conduct one would expect of a Secretary of Defense.
The question, if you might not have caught it, the question originally on Al Jazeera was submitted by someone, a lady from Georgia, the state, not the country. That question just as well could have come from Ron Paul or any libertarian. Now, here is one last clip from Senator Cruz.
You explicitly agreed with the characterization of the United States as the world's bully, and I would suggest that is not a characterization. I think the United States has spilled more blood, more treasure, standing for freedom, liberating people across the world.
Okay, that one ended a little abruptly, but it goes into the clip I'd played before this one. The point is, Senator Cruz, you are right. You're absolutely correct. We have spilled blood and treasure going around the world, but it wasn't liberating. It was sticking our noses into other countries' business. It was called liberating, fighting for freedom, but it wasn't. You know it. Every person sitting there in Congress knows it. Even the president knows it. And yet we continue doing it to this day. Everybody going crazy about Hagel saying we're a bully. Well, aren't we? Companies want to go into another country to do business there. The government of that country doesn't want them. So that company goes crying to the United States government, demanding they do something about it. Our government says, hey, it's a free market. You have to let them in. Well, no, they don't. It's called the free market because it is free of government coercion. I can freely participate or not. But that's not what we have. What we have is called crony capitalism. That's when the government interferes in the market and picks winners or losers based on, frankly, who is paying off the most government people. So the government of this particular country says, no, we don't want to participate in that. But that doesn't work for us. The company, this company that's lobbying is paying a lot of money in campaign contributions, and they want something for all that money they've been donating. So our government tries, and diplomatically they try to solve the problem that way. And if that doesn't work, well, we'll just start an embargo against that country and pressure others to join in as well. All the while we were doing this, well, hey, what do you know? All of a sudden we found out that government is abusing some of its citizens. So we start working to undermine the ruling party and give money to the so-called resistance, actively trying to overthrow that country's government. Now, when we get that done, get that ruling party overthrown, then the new ruling party welcomes in the foreign companies and everybody's happy. Well, except for the people who are from the old ruling party, or in some way enemies of the new American-backed government. Now, they'll be put to death, either through direct means such as execution after maybe a mock trial, or by starving them to death, or preventing medical care from reaching them. There are a number of ways. It really doesn't matter to us anyway, because companies are doing business now. That's all that matters. Well, that and those congressional representatives keep getting their campaign donations from the companies doing business in this new country now. I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. That's just how far ahead of the game you are when you listen to this show. You can listen to those archive shows at our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Patrick Riggins Show. If our government is not going to respect the sovereignty of another country, then what makes you think it is going to respect your sovereignty over yourself? It's not, and it doesn't. Yet we all act all appalled that this person would testify that we're a bully in the world. Why is it, do you think, a lot of people cheered when 9/11 happened? We were told by our government and the media that it's because they hate Western civilization. They have a deep-seated hatred for everything for which we stand. Now, that's true among the fanatical people, but they are not as numerous as we are led to believe. If they were, we'd be experiencing attacks on a daily basis. In fact, I'd go so far as to say we'd be having multiple attacks every day. If we had as many fanatical people against us as we are led to believe. Now, think about that, and you'll realize I'm right. If we had all these people who really hated us, they really despised us, and are willing to die to attack us, then why aren't we having more attacks around the world? Why aren't we having more attacks within our very country? Oh, that's right. It's because we have that tight, impenetrable southern border with Mexico. Yeah, that's right. No one's getting through there. With all these people who are supposedly working for our demise, with that huge of a population against us, they would have plenty of people to continue sending to their deaths to attack us around the world. So with that not happening, we can infer from that there aren't that many fanatical people out there. Most of these other people are different from us culturally, but all they really want is for us to leave them and their country alone. But again, why so many people why were they celebrating after 9/11? If all those people aren't fanatics hell-bent on killing Americans, why all the cheering? Well, look no further than this statement by Hagel. What does everyone do when the big bully finally gets his comeuppance? What happens when someone stands up to the bully and knocks him down? Everybody else in the schoolyard cheers. They're happy to finally see the big guy get what he had coming. Not that we deserved to have our people killed on 9/11. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is these people saw it as payback for all the meddling we have been doing in their countries. Something that wouldn't be happening if we minded our own business. I can't reiterate this point too many times. If our government is not going to respect the sovereignty of another country, what makes you think it's going to respect the sovereignty over yourself. We are up on the last break here on the Patrick Riggin Show. The Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network will be right back after a couple of messages. Stay tuned.
Oh, yeah!